Well, hey there, how you doing? Dave Fennoy here. Another Wednesday, another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. It is 6 p.m. Thank you for joining me. I hope you are telling your friends about Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. If you're interested in voiceover training, visit my website, davefennoy.com. And right now is a good time. You click the Study VO tab at the top. And I have a sale going on through the end of October, 20% off all coaching packages. That's 5, 10, or 20 with coupon code FALL20. So I wanted to let you know about that. What else is coming up for me? Get Your Game On Los Angeles is happening Friday, November 1st. And I will be one of the panelists and doing a class there as well. It's a bevy of greats. Some of these people are very good friends of mine: Keith Aram, Deborah Wilson, Zeke Alton, Valerie Aram, and others that perhaps I haven't worked with or know that well, but I know their reputation. If you are interested in VO for video games, there will be a wealth of knowledge there. But wait, there's more. Coming up in December 5th through the 7th is going to be That's Voiceover, followed on that Sunday by the Voice Arts Awards, of course. And I'll be doing a couple of classes on December 5th at 2:05 p.m. I'll be working with students, analyze this, breaking down video gaming scripts for ultimate success. As they say, crack the code of video game scripts. Master script analysis to elevate your performance and dominate the gaming voiceover scene. But wait, there's still more. I'll be doing another class, character development for video games, and be a little bit of script analysis, but how do we create a character that has some character? That'll be December 6th, 11:25 a.m., so you can do that. And now, without further ado, you know what? I'm going to do something a little different. We've had some deaths in the entertainment community, sports community as well. Right. Well, let's get going here and let's see our guest. This guy is amazing, Raul Aldana, and the crowd goes wild. Ooh, Raul, how are you? Good to see you again after not that long.
No, but it's been 3 weeks or so that we were traveling together. But the first time I was with you here was during the pandemic, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, it's been a long time.
Thanks
for
and
having me here.
it does seem like such a long time ago, the pandemic. It really wasn't that long ago.
Nope.
But the world kind of changed from then to now. And, one of the things that I love best about doing this is I ask my friends in voiceover, sometimes they're not people I know, but know of, but I ask my friends and colleagues to come on and talk about their careers, and I learn so much about them, sometimes people I've known for years that I didn't know. And even from the last time you were on, I have learned some things about you and your career that are just amazing. I had forgotten if I ever knew from your first bio that you started acting at the age of 6.
At 6.
Yeah, how did that happen?
It was just things of life that you are in the right place at the right moment. Um, my mother separated from my father when I was 3 years old, and she had a teenager son, and I was and a toddler basically, and she was left by herself.
Oh boy.
So a friend of her offered her. He's an architect, and he had recently built a new building, and he offered her a little apartment there to start over.
Now, was
Uh,
this in Mexico City?
Mexico City,
Yeah.
yeah, Mexico City. And well, from there I started my life there, very happy, next to a place that it's called El Parque Hundido, which means sunken park. So it was like my backyard. So very happy life. When I turned 5 years old, this very nice man who helped my mother gave me a Winnie dog, a Dutch Hound dog, as a birthday present.
Ah,
So I was always with my dog, and
the little wiener dog.
totally, yeah,
You and your
I love
dachshund.
that dog. Yeah, and probably I looked like a character, that little boy with my dog. And this was in those times in which, at that age, you could be free and go to the park with your dog. And suddenly, a very nice guy who was our neighbor, living in another little apartment like ours, talked to my mother. We didn't know that he was a movie director, starting his, I think it was his opera prima, his first film. He talked to my mother and showed her a script, and he wrote a script in which part of the story it was there was a character that was me with my dog.
Oh,
So although the
had
story
he
was
seen
not
you?
about
Had,
me,
had had he seen you on the street and wrote the character in, or this was just coincidence?
he was very very good with me and very good with us. He was helping my mother, and he was very crafty. He used to carve wood, and he was a very handy man, very artistic man. But we didn't know that he was a movie director in the process. So this was going to be his first feature,
Ah.
and he created this character in his story based in me and my dog, and he wanted me to do the role. And my mother, well, she asked me, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah." So I don't remember much. I remember the conversation that we had, that we had, the director and I, and it was that, while we're filming, I don't want you to look at the camera. And I got really worried because I said, "Why? Because I could become blind." So that was that was the
Six-year-old
terrifying
logic.
moment for me. Yeah, and the rest, I hated some days in location because I love to join my mother to her work. She was a preschool teacher in a daycare, and she started at 2 p.m. She had the afternoon shift, and in that school, they had it belonged to the equal entity to the IRS here, that it's called
Oh
Hacienda,
yes, yeah.
and the employees they had this benefit to have their kids there and to have artistic education. So I was taking the piano lessons, and next to the classroom, there was the theater group, the drama group for kids, and I tried to get in there, and I was rejected by the teacher
And
because
then
I
you
was
went and
very
made
young.
a movie.
And then I made a movie, and I got back, and I said, "Hey, I'm an actor now, so can you accept me?" And the thing is that I didn't enjoy the location because I like to go with my mother to my piano lessons and things like that. Then I was rejected, but then I did the movie, I got back, and the teacher accepted me.
So,
And I stayed with that group for 6 years.
question: do you still have a
Yeah.
copy of that movie?
No, no. Um, I think there might be somewhere because it was some kind of a co-production with Belgium, I think, France and Mexico. I don't know exactly. And in 1981, there was a fire in the movie archives in Mexico that it was provoked to cover some corruption in the in the business, well, from the government. So the copies in Mexico, I think, were lost there. I have a Super 8 um, film with the trailer, which I want to transfer. I have it in Mexico. I'm going to bring it, and I'm going to have it transferred into a digital format to see it because I'm scared about seeing it. I don't like to see anything that I do. I don't like to see it.
You know, a lot of actors are like that. I'm kind of like that myself. I love doing the work. I don't always love seeing myself or hearing myself on the work. And
Yes.
I think, you know, sometimes I went, wait a minute, I had a better take than that. Why'd they use that take?
Yeah.
And I know of, I know a lot of actors that don't like to watch or hear their work. But let's move forward. So 14 years old, you start doing voiceover and dubbing.
Yes. Um, one thing took me to the other because I started doing theater, and from there, a very well-known actor took me to TV, and I did some soap operas and things like that. I did a couple of movies, and while I was doing, I did 3 movies back to back when I was 15, 14. And when I was in one of them, two of the main actors were dubbing actors because back then you would do stage, film, everything, and dubbing. It was part of your something that
Especially
complemented your career.
especially in Mexico and some other non-English speaking countries, because so many movies and television shows from the United States were being dubbed.
Exactly. So what happened to me, I had been also doing some radio dramas live. I remember that it was live, and as a kid I was doing them. So I had some experience there in the radio dramas, and these two actors, they told me, look, at 14 you are not an adult and you are not a little kid, so there are not so many roles for your age, so you need to do what we do when we don't have a movie or a stage play. We do dubbing. So I said, wow, yeah, yeah. And what's dubbing? I had no idea about that. And they told me it's the same thing that you do when you do your ADR in a film, but you dub cartoons or foreign series. And what? So the Charlie Angels don't speak Spanish? So I was blown up completely. So they took me to the studio, and I saw how they were dubbing the Dukes of Hazzard, I think.
Oh boy.
And I was like, wow,
You guys
what
had to
is
watch the
this?
Dukes of Hazzard in Mexico. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And I was
apologize for America.
yeah, and the other series that I saw that they were dubbing at that moment was Chips with Eric Estrada,
Oh
and
boy, I bet that was a hit.
that was a huge hit. And years later, when I met Eric Estrada, I was telling him about that, and we were laughing about it. But I was surprised that they spoke in English and not in Spanish, because dubbing was very believable. And we grew up with the culture of dubbing. So that's how I started in dubbing. And that took me to voiceover commercials and radio show, my live radio shows that I had, and it took me to every specialty.
And all the amazing characters that you have done. Mickey Mouse, Kermit the
Yes.
Frog, Timon from The Lion King, and the list goes on and on and on. And you were the official Mickey Mouse voice for a
For
long
11
time.
years.
For
11
11
years,
till,
yeah.
till your voice changed.
Well, actually, not much. Not much. People say that I still have the same voice, uh, and probably. Um, one thing took me to another, because I started working with this amazing director that he's like a father for me. His name is Francisco Colmenero. He's the dean of dubbing. He's 92 years old now, and he still is active. And with
God
him, I
bless him.
started working in the dubbing of the Smurfs. And he was the voice, the official voice of the trailers, and the official director of everything Disney. So somehow he brought me to the audition and the casting for um, the Black Cauldron, which was a really a fluff, an animated movie from Disney from back in 1985. And there I met the guy who created Disney Character Voices International, ironically. And 3 years later in 1988, I was casted as the voice of Mickey in Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, and later I did other Disney shows, like in '94, The Lion King, and other shows. And that years later, that took me to become an executive of Disney Character Voices International. So it was.
Now, so you made a transition that I think is a little different than most people who are actors and voice actors, but now you are in charge of dubbing at Disney. I know that was a hell of a learning curve, because it's one thing to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to dub. It's another thing to learn all the other parts of the dubbing process,
Yeah.
and then start handling, well, how do I bring in actors? How do I make sure that all the dubbing is right? And you, over a number of years, looking at this, it's hard to believe you were working on 3,500 titles per year of dubbing in Spanish and Portuguese, and 3,500 Spanish, 3,500 in Portuguese.
Portuguese. Yeah. Latin America is a very busy territory. And I just wanted to be 1 year at Disney. And because when I was offered with the position, I was in a very successful TV show. I was in 2 radio shows, and I was recording probably 200 commercials a year. So I didn't need it. I didn't need it to be with Disney. But the star of the TV show that I was with, he told me, take it. You need to take it. No, I don't want to do it because I don't want to lose my job in the show and the radio show. And he told me, no, you need an executive part in your career. Something that we do now as
Yes.
voiceover talents,
Yes.
that we have an executive part of our careers. So he gave me the example saying that I am the star of the show, but I'm also the executive producer of the show. So, and I had been working as a writer with Eugenio Derbez, who's the most important comedian from Mexico, and not only comedian, a great actor and director. And I was part of his show, the first show that he had as a writer. And in dubbing, I knew all the aspects of dubbing, everything, because I was very curious. And when I was a teenager, I used to see the editors working in the Moviola, adding or taking some frames in order to put everything in sync. So I knew all the aspects of dubbing. That's why they chose me for Disney. But I didn't have the executive part, although I had been a producer for music or in radio. But but I was always hands-on, not in the executive part. So I needed to develop that, and I
And the
did.
lesson there, I want to bring your experience to the people who are listening. Say yes to opportunities when sometimes maybe, oh, I'm a performer, I don't want to, maybe, but you want to be in control, or as much control of your career as possible. So say yes to opportunities like that. Now, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I wrote an article for Rachel Naylor in her magazine for the Voiceover Network that it's the title is the worst job I've ever done, and the end of the story is that the worst job you can do is the one that you don't dare to do.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, you got good at this. You learned the process. I was also surprised how many celebrities you got to work with in this dubbing process. The list: Phil Collins, Sting, Gloria Estefan, Shakira, Viggo Mortensen, Vin Diesel, Emerson Fittipaldi, Chayanne, Marco Antonio Solis, Ivete Sangalo, Eugenio Derbez, and so many others.
Yes. Especially when you dub a project into a specific language, you need to recreate what it was done in the domestic version, in the original version. So they use celebrities to do the voices for the animated features. So we need to try to bring some celebrities from the territories to create that added value to the dubbing. Although many fans of dubbing hate it because sometimes the casting is not right, and the marketing people they want to bring somebody just because the person is a celebrity. I always try to bring the people, the talents that match perfectly the domestic version and the original idea of a director, because we are touching the original idea of another creator, so
Yeah.
we need to bring some added value. So fortunately I think I was able to do it. And when I started as an executive at Disney, my first celebrity that I brought was Eugenio Derbez, and it's just because the character that he did was Eddie Murphy. So for me, the equal part of Eddie Murphy at the moment was Eugenio, and he was my friend. So it was easy.
And I just
It
happen
was
to know
easy to
him.
do it.
So.
He accepted not because Disney was paying him a lot of money. It's because
Because of your friendship.
somehow because of our friendship. Yeah. So from there I started learning how to cast this, and we had projects like with Viggo Mortensen, that Viggo wanted to do his own dubbing in the Latin American version of Hidalgo.
So he
Movie that
speaks
did.
Spanish fluently.
He's fluent, yeah, and he's amazing. It's amazing to work.
He's an amazing actor. I think
Yeah.
of some of the roles where I've seen him really skinny, and I've seen him blow up like a balloon to play various
Yeah,
parts.
and he's a great person. And that was the same case with Phil Collins, that the deal with him in Tarzan and then in Brother Bear, that he wrote all the music, all the songs, and the deal was that he was going to be doing his own voice in the songs in different languages, including Spanish, Italian, for example, Castilian and French, and even I don't know if Japanese. So I had the opportunity to work with him too.
Now, did he speak all those languages? My thought is probably not, but he had to learn
Nope.
to.
We coached him during the recordings in terms of how to pronounce, and he was taking his own notes phonetically, was writing them, and he was very good on that. The ear of a
The ear of
musician,
a musician, yeah.
amazing, and easy to direct also. He's very collaborative and very open to work. Yeah.
Excellent. So, all those years with Disney, all that localization, and now, among other things, you do so many things. I'm trying to say, what do I want to hit on next? When we were in, we were just. Well, let's see. Let's bring up a picture. There we are on our way.
Yeah.
In Bogota, Colombia, for Viva Voz, a Spanish-speaking voiceover conference. And when you look at that picture, this lady here, that, I didn't think she liked me taking that picture. She was kind of looking at me a little weird. I wonder if she wondered if I was taking a picture of her. But no. My buddy's sitting across from me. We're just taking that picture. And then, of course, here we are. And this is that wonderful dinner, that ending ceremony at that fabulous resort, restaurant, hotel in the mountains overlooking Bogota. And the best part about the trip, by the way, other than the people and the fun, was the weather. It was between 65 and 75 degrees the entire time we were there, when it was 110 here in Los Angeles.
And walking the city, it was so nice. Because the venues were walking distance.
Yes.
So it was so nice.
No, it was wonderful. But being there, and I didn't get to sit in on your classes, but dubbing has become such a huge part of entertainment now. And it used to be, we thought anime dubbing. So in English, we're dubbing Japanese or Korean into English, and American films are being dubbed into other language. Well, now films, television shows are being dubbed from language to language to language to language. And you have built up an expertise in that, and you've watched the technology of dubbing change. How has it changed from when you started to what we're doing now?
Oh, that's a great point, because dubbing is an industry reluctant to change. But at some point it had to change because technology changed. So when I started dubbing, we used to be in the very dark rooms because we had a projectionist and we were dubbing against 16 millimeter copies of film. And the audio was recorded in a magnetic tape that was synchronized to the film, and we created loops. That's why they were called loops, because we were watching the same
loop groups,
scene over exactly, and from there they would put together again, they taped again the film, and they would edit it in the moviola and everything. The art craft of filmmaking, and suddenly the video appeared, and video was the worst part of dubbing in terms of quality, because they were recording against this 3/4 tape cassettes, and they were recording in the 2 audio tracks that they had, and so there was always, the dialogue was always late, and it was horrible. Other companies were synchronizing 1/4 tapes against the cassette player, basically the 3/4 machine. That changed, but they skipped the editorial part. So sync was horrible in the late I would say in the 80s. And then the digital linear machines came, the DA88 from Tascam, eight channels in a high-8 tape. So they were able to sync that machine against the video machines, and it was a little bit better, but there was no editing. And then fortunately, Pro Tools came, but it was impossible to load into Pro Tools a video of 90 minutes, for example. So we were using it for commercials or other things, but not for dubbing. And finally, the technology improved, and we were able to start recording in Pro Tools everything that was dubbed. And then for my own process, I reestablished the editorial, the dialogue editorial, because I saw that Pro Tools was like a moviola. You could move frames earlier, later, you could cut, you could do everything.
Digital dubbing,
so
yes.
I said, this is a moviola, so let's do it again. And quality started improving again. So those were the different stages of the dubbing process. Then when I arrived to Disney as a child actor, especially in dubbing, I saw and I heard things that I shouldn't have heard or seen as a child actor. Just horrible things. Yeah, it's. I didn't see bad things. I could say that were traumatic, but things that were not appropriate, especially things that I heard. So when I started with Disney, I divorced, I would say, the Disney product from the traditional dubbing studios, because this traditional dubbing studios were very sketchy, very, very sketchy. So a friend of mine says that I took the dubbing out of the darkness
and into the light.
Exactly. So I started developing new vendors, new studios that had a more appropriate environment for the Disney content, because there are always children in the Disney content.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say that was the next step for me when I joined Disney.
Okay. Well, listen, we've got a few questions here. Let's say hello to Joy West. She says, I would like to learn dubbing, Raul. How many hours a day did you dedicate to practicing dubbing per day in the beginning of your career? I always believe practice makes perfect in all we learn.
Well, this is a very good point, because I refuse to teach dubbing, because in my opinion, dubbing doesn't have the academic part of to be taught. Dubbing is a specialty of acting. So the principal thing to learn or to study is acting, drama. That's the base for that. And after that, yeah, you can take a workshop about lip syncing, basically, or to understand the adapting of
the technique
the adaptation.
of, yeah.
It's the technique. So it's what I teach is basically the Stanislavski and Strasberg method, and I teach the actors how to identify the elements of the method in what they are dubbing, or if they are in front of a microphone in a commercial, or those elements that they need to perform, but not strictly for dubbing. I don't sit with them in the studio saying that, oh, you're short, you're long, you lost the labial. I don't do that, because that's a technique that you will acquire with practice, precisely. So
I liken it very much to being a musician, being able to listen. The beat is this. This run is going to start here and end here. This is the rhythm of that. And being able to listen. Often people ask me about dubbing, more often about anime, which dubbing. And I say, well, you're an actor and a technician. and there's actually being a technician to being an actor as well, but more technician when you're dubbing, but you still have to be an actor.
Yes, yes. And to the point of the practice, the great advantage of dubbing is that in one day you dub a policeman, you dub a thespian, and you dub an anime character. So as an actor, it's a great practice, something that adds to your own experience in terms of building a character. So that's what I call dubbing. Dubbing is like going to the gym as an actor.
Okay, okay. I got another question here from Yob Amingo. What is the difference in producing dubs for Brazilian Portuguese and Latin American Spanish? Can you explain the concept of acento neutro or neutral
Oh
accent?
yeah, neutral accent. Oh, it's a horrible thing. Horrible, horrible thing. I hate it with all my guts, and many people hate me because I hate the neutral accent. Latin America is a territory that has 21 countries speaking the same language. When dubbing started in Spanish, they experimented with different territories like Argentina and Puerto Rico and Mexico to try to find the best accent that suits the whole region, because we speak the language in a very, very different way in each, from one territory to another. So, and they needed to have a neutral accent that was suitable not only for Latin America, for Spain, because back in those days there were no diplomatic relationship with Spain because of the dictatorship, and they needed to dub for them in one.
Wow, we're going back to Franco.
Exactly, to Franco. Yeah, because also dubbing started as a political tool for dictators like Mussolini or you know the Nazis, because they wanted to create the impression that those foreign movies were produced locally. So the Italian claimed to be the inventors of
wait a minute. You're blowing my mind here a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of dubbing, is to take foreign American movies, English, wherever they're from, dub them into a language. Now, would they change the meanings of what people were saying and actors were saying?
Then sometimes they need to do it, or they needed to do it. The French, for example, who always have had the most solid dubbing industry, and not only dubbing, film industry also. They claim also to be the creators of dubbing. So it was a political thing.
Yeah, wine, champagne, dubbing, French fries.
But getting back to the neutral accent, they decided that they saw that the Mexican accent, especially Central Mexico accent, like mine in Mexico City, was very neutral, because we don't cut some syllables when we talk, and this would be the comparison between American English and Jamaican English, for example. That the sound is more Caribbean, you know. So they decided that Mexico was going to be the mecca of dubbing. So in the early '80s, dubbing expanded to other countries, dubbing into Spanish, to Venezuela, to Chile, to Argentina, and to Colombia. So these countries developed their own version of the Mexican accent, and they called it neutral accent, which is trying to have this sort of Mexicanized accent. And they created this animal of neutral accent, because I hate it, because I say that the only thing that they can take away from you at customs is your accent. Because I speak with an accent. I speak the worst language of the most popular language of the world, which is bad English, and I love my accent, you know, because it reflects where I come from. and my culture and everything.
You know,
So
that's
they kill that flavor in dubbing. And Germans do the same thing. They do a neutral accent for all the German speaking countries. So it kills the fresh sound of an accent and the natural delivery, because many actors come to me saying that, hey, I studied neutral accent so I can do dubbing. And I asked them, and did you study acting? No, but I speak neutral. Sorry, you need to be an actor, not a neutral. So that's the concept of because they have created this myth about neutral accent. Uh, I heard an Argentinian director directing one of my Mexican actors, telling him, "Hey, your A needs to the vowel, your A needs to be more neutral, more open." What? An A? And a director in Chile, she told me why Mexicans don't have a neutral R, and I said, "What is a neutral R?" Because I pronounce my R as it is. So I think that dubbing into Spanish kills that in Latin America, because in a movie here you have different accents. You have uh, uh, Brooklyn accent and maybe different.
California accent, Southern accent, Minnesota
Exactly.
accent, all whatever it is. We're seeing
Exactly.
people from everywhere.
Yep.
That's very interesting because I think accent helps character.
Yes.
And I think it's okay to learn to do a variety of accents. We're got to be careful what accents we're doing because sometimes our accents, I know when I learned to do Indian accents, it was because I'd spent enough time in 7-Eleven to make fun of the Pakistani or Indian person in there.
Mhm.
And all too often, that's how someone learned to do an accent.
Yes.
And you realize you're not doing it out of I really want to learn how to do this and honor these characters. And the other side of that is, gee, we have some actors that are that, uh,
Yeah.
who should have the opportunity to play themselves and people like themselves.
Yeah.
But I also watch, television. I listen to the commercials, watch the commercials, listen to them. And what the American voice is now is very much an international voice.
Hmm.
It covers accents all over the United States and other places. I hear British accents, French accents. Don't hear too many German accents. Definitely Spanish accents. Doing general market commercials that are aimed at the entire society. There was a time as a black person, you were going to have a hard time working in the general market, but that has changed.
Yes.
I think sometimes, much to the dismay of some of our more race conscious people. I want to talk about acting just a little bit, and we don't have to get too deep. But when you talked about teaching acting in the style of some of the great acting teachers, what would you say? Give me 5 points that you would tell someone trying to learn how to be an actor that they need to do.
Um, in the method, we divide the method is divided in I would say four languages. And the first language is the visual language. So it's how the character looks, how and how it's acting and mentally, the mental sequences. Because when we visually are in the when we are in the language in the visual language, our mind is either in the present, in the past, or in the future at some point. So it depends on where you are, where is your character, but not necessarily. We're not talking
We're talking about where I'm
tenses.
thinking of the past. I'm thinking of the
Mhm.
future. I'm right in this moment.
Exactly. And we move in a very different way. So if we are in the past, the tempo is very slow. And if we are in the present, we are very vivacious. We are live. We are very natural. And in the future, it's just something that lasts 1 second, you know. So that's something that we need to put attention on that. Then we have the vocal language, which is how your character sounds, speaks, an accent, a list, or whatever. What's the volume, the rhythm, everything that it's the part of the vocal performance of our character. And then it's how your mind is focused in the environment. It's a huge venue that you are. I don't know, the public venue is a stadium, but you are with your girlfriend, so that's public. But with your girlfriend, you are in a particular environment, but you're in private. You get affected by a message that you read in your phone. So where is the attention of your character? And then we have the language of feeling and uh, I would say thinking and feeling. How is the connection between your five senses, your interior five senses and your exterior five senses, the mind and basically your guts? How this nervous system is connected because when we don't do that connection, it's when we do an audition, for example, that we think about how we will be performing, and what we record is completely the opposite. It's because there is not this, we don't have that connection.
That little voice is talking to you instead of you being the character.
Exactly. And the fifth language, which is not a language, is the text analysis. That you in your workshops mentioned it very very well, that there's no script, you know, but there's no script because we need to do our work doing the analysis. So I make them practice this as one person who practice martial arts. That we practice, they practice, they practice, they practice until they hit something or somebody as a natural movement. So that's basically how I focus all the method on them.
And I imagine from time to time people are coming in thinking about dubbing, and you start there and they go,
Yeah.
but
The first lesson is always like, what is this? So yeah,
but when you think about it, you're trying to play a character in a particular moment, in moments in time, and what's their worldview? What is it they want? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What's their physicality? What's the relationship with whoever it is that they're speaking with in that moment in time? What are they reacting to? And all those things are not you. They are the character. And sometimes when we're reading the words and we decide, oh, we're going to sing this little song that I think is going to make the words have the meaning that I'm trying to give them, it's just terrible. It's just terrible.
yes.
I've got another question here from Aisha Zephyr. How would you describe Zoo Digital's cloud dubbing service? And I'm glad she asked that because that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. How is it similar or different from the 3-beat method, Rimoband, and voice cue, etc.? We've seen a number of ways to dub, so you could dub from your own home studio when you're watching the picture and the words come up and you boop 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 and there they are and you got to say them and be in don't go too long, don't go too short, match the what is the method
Yes.
at Zoo Digital?
I love our platform is called Sudobs, and when they introduced the platform to me, probably in my last 3 months at Disney, and I hated it. I totally hated it. And when they interviewed me, yeah, because they didn't even showed it to me. They didn't show it to me. They just told me, oh, this is uh, remote recording system that the actors record by themselves. And what? Where's the director? So eventually they developed this part that was missing. In order to cut costs, some studios cut the director and made the engineers direct the project, which is outrageous.
It's insane.
And in those days, I used to travel a lot, and when I couldn't travel, uh, I had to connect to the recordings via Blue Jeans, which is something similar to Zoom, back in the day. And I had the studio connect a computer or the camera, the sound of the camera they would use to connect with me to the console. And I was listening to the performance, but I was not able to see the sync or anything because latency. So suddenly, this changed with Sudobs. No latency, nothing, and the director can be connected with the actor in real time, and the one who controls the recording is the director. So we eliminated the engineer because the system has all the tools to identify bad acoustics, bad microphones, everything, because you as an actor have to pass technical tests for your acoustic environment, the quality of your microphone, from a list of digital microphones or from a list of interfaces that have been accepted in the system. So, and your location, because the system knows when you are not in the location that was approved for you. So if you are in a different place, you have to pass something that we call a session test. So, and the best part of this is security of the content, because in voice queue or other systems, you need to open a Pro Tools session, you need to open a QuickTime, you need to open a Word. And in Sudobs, you only need to log in via Chrome, and that's it. Select your microphone, which is already approved, and the director establishes a call in which we are looking to each other, and you see the text, your dialogue running as a ritmo band, which is the French system. Not so complex like the French system, because we want the system to be very friendly. And the directors are recording their actors in real time, approving the takes. They can edit there, and they don't need to save anything because everything is auto-saved in the cloud. So that's basically, for me, it was the next step. When I left Disney, I was wondering, what am I going to do now? Because I don't want to get back to the darkness of the sketchy studios. And for me, that was the next step, and that's why I took the job in Zoo Digital.
Now, you are always looking for actors at Zoo Digital.
Yes.
How does someone apply to become an actor for Zoo Digital?
They can go to the website of zoodigital.com, and there is one of the links to apply as a freelancer. And there the freelancers apply for translation, for adaptation, or for acting and
Okay,
direction.
for translation, you're somebody who translates scripts from one language to another.
Exactly. Or for subtitling also.
Okay, for adaptation.
Adapting the scripts, because in some territories, especially in Europe, they have a translation and then they have an adapter who adjusts the dialogue into lip sync. So there is a readaptation.
Which is why anime English is so weird.
Yeah, it's improving. It's improving. I have to say, English dubbing is improving a lot.
What was the third one?
And the third one is dubbing directors and obviously voice talents. So they can apply there. There is a team, the onboarding team, that they review all the applications and they pass them to the territory managers, who are people like like me, who are creative directors, dubbing directors that are in charge of the territory, and they select the talents, they see the credentials of the talents, and they onboard them. So it's very simple. Most of the talents get approved. In Latin America, I had to put some restriction because there were many uh, recommended talents that were not professional yet, that they were in an acting or dubbing school, that we needed, because we want to make sure that our directors are working with real professionals.
Yeah. What's the workload for Zoo Digital now? I imagine what you describe is a much better system than what we've had before. Is the
Yes.
world beating a path to your door?
When I started doing this, and I established the Amway pyramid, because I onboarded my fellow voice talents from the commercial world, that we had been recording in Pro Tools and sending our recordings, or recording in with Source Connect for years and years. So I knew that they had the equipment. So I onboarded six, knowing that they would be onboarding other six each of them, and
Yeah.
those 36 would be doing the same. And that's how I built a pool of 300 talents that we have actively working in Latin America. So then I started spreading this to the rest of the world. But the industry was not really happy with me. They wrote some articles in newspapers in Mexico saying that I was going to destroy the studios, the dubbing studios. But fortunately, the pandemic reaffirmed that this was the necessary step. So suddenly, Su Digital was the flavor of the month, and everybody came to us asking for this
The
solution.
website is beautiful. It's very clear. It shows that this is a worldwide organization. And technology is changing so fast now. I just think you
Yes.
guys are on the cutting edge. I have another question here from Joy. Are Zoo Digital's positions remote, in person, or both?
Depending on the territories, and for example, for Latin American Spanish, we don't need the studio because we have a lot of actors and great directors, and we don't need it. There are some studios in Brazil, for example, that they work in pseudobs, but in person.
Ah,
They use the platform, and it's because of security, because we don't have to be sending materials.
yeah.
And for English dubbing, we have both models, because we record with a studio that the owner used to be in LA, but then he moved his studio to North Carolina, and from there he
Is his studio still
records.
there
Oh
after
yeah,
after Helene?
but the thing is that he works with actors from here or other territories remotely, and they do a great job dubbing into English. And also we do in person recordings in our facilities in El Segundo, in person also.
Ah,
So
okay.
it depends on the territory. In Spain, for example, we have two studios, and the two studios work in both models, with Zoo Dubs in person, with Zoo Dubs remotely, or even in Pro Tools, because there are some clients that they still prefer to have their recordings done in Pro Tools.
And I noticed Zoo Digital also has audio description.
Yes. Yes, and audio description. I love Sudobs for audio description, because when you record traditionally, you have to be looking for the spot where you are going to record your narration of what's going on screen. In Sudobs, it takes you exactly to the spot and the timing of the phrase. You read the phrase in the space that you have. You don't have to be looking for it. You click in the next loop, and it takes you to the next
Saves
spot.
you
So
time and aggravation.
exactly. So the actors, the narrators actually record by themselves. They don't need direction, because we look for them. We look for Dave Fennoy to be Dave Fennoy recording this. So it's what we are looking for, your own
Voice.
concept of what
Oh
you
yeah.
are doing and your voice, and yeah. So
When we
audio
were
description is an amazing thing in pseudops.
last question here, last comment. When we were in Bogota, we were talking about AI. And one of the things you mentioned, which is why I brought up the audio description, is that the people who need audio description have unceremoniously rejected AI voices.
Exactly. They completely, you know, the visually impaired people, they need to have a good experience, and they describe it like that, that they need to enjoy the experience of a movie, and the narration helps them to enjoy that. The narration doesn't have to be intrusive, doesn't have to be way beyond, doesn't have to interrupt or overlap the dialogue or the music or the effects that are key in the movie. So it's a total experience, and definitely AI doesn't give you that. So they rejected it completely, and they are very critical because sometimes we make mistakes by selecting a voice that it's not appropriate for the content. So they are very critical, and we have some QCers. They do quality control for us, and they are blind. Yeah, yeah. So they provide
They
their
know
very
what
good
other
equipment.
blind people are need and want. Excellent.
Yeah, because there are some script writers for audio description that they are blind.
Wow.
And actually, I know a couple of engineers that they record audio description in Pro Tools and they are blind. But they are amazing experts in audio description. And there are countries like Brazil and France that this is mandatory. It's by law. You have to produce audio description for every audiovisual production. So they are real experts in doing it. And it's becoming, it's spreading to the rest of the world. Many countries are establishing this by law.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Raul, my friend, this was an encyclopedia of information about dubbing and you and acting and so much. Thank you, thank you.
Dave, talking with you, traveling with you, having lunch with you, almost missing a plane with you, it's always a pleasure. I have to say to everybody that Dave Fennoy is one of the best human beings I have the honor
Oh,
to have met in my life and in this business, and you are a great
oh,
person, an
thank you, Raul. That's
amazing coach, and amazing actor. It's that voice represents the the great soul that you have.
thank you. That right back at you, Raul. Right back at you. I am honored to know you. And once again, one of the best things about doing this is really getting to know some things about my friends in this business that we might not ever talk about. I mean, we'll talk the business, but you know, most of the time we get together, you're not really talking shop. You're having a meal, you're discussing this, that, or the other. But to be able to have this conversation with you and share it with an audience that can benefit from your knowledge, fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you for the opportunity. And again, this business is not about what we do, it's about the people that we work with.
Yeah, true, 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 true. All right, I'm going to call it. Thank you, Raul, and everybody. Let's give him a hand. That was fantastic. I want to remind you that if you want to follow me on Twitter, X, it's at Dave Fennoy VO. All the Ask Dave Fennoy Anythings live on my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training. They are all there 24/7, 365, so you can go back and watch at any time. Please like and subscribe. And also a reminder that right now through the end of October. If you'd like to do some voiceover coaching with me, packages of 5, 10, or 20, just hit the coupon code, type in the coupon code FALL20, and you will get 20% off. So thank you so much. And as usual, I'm going to sign off with, as I always do, book something.